Throughout the film, Looking for Richard, Al Pacino has set up purposeful resonances and dissonances, which to a minor extent collide with the ideas being discussed in Shakespeare's King Richard III, and rather serves as an extension of Shakespeare's work, applying it to a modern context through Pacino's understanding of how intelligence is hooked with language. However, throughout the film, Pacino has taken inspiration within Shakespeare's work and has applied it to the docudrama format, which in itself collides with the original format intended for King Richard III. Such discrepancies between the two textual forms have been deliberately portrayed in Pacino and Shakespeare's depiction of Richard's Machiavellian nature and in their portrayal of gender roles throughout society. Through these collisions between the texts, the audience is called to reconsider how composers are influenced by other texts, contexts, and values, and how this shapes meaning. As a result of the contrasting context, Al Pacino's Looking for Richard takes on the docudrama format in order to reimagine and apply the themes of one's Machiavellian nature that comes as a byproduct of the pursuit of power, and ultimately leads to Richard's downfall, as was originally discussed in Shakespeare's King Richard III. One major consideration for Shakespeare's actors was having to project their voices. This in turn took away from many of the subtleties of their character. However, due to the use of modern technologies like microphones, Pacino was able to reintroduce the subtleties and emotion into each character. This is clearly seen when comparing Richard's opening soliloquy in the two texts, whereby I want you to pay attention to the delivery of these lines.
Now is the winter.
Now is the winter of our discontent.
Summer.
Made glorious summer by this sun of yore.
Here, Pacino is able to play with the tone and volume of his voice, allowing him to accentuate Richard's dishonest nature, as it creates a dissonance between his thoughts, motivations, and speech. Whereas in the play, his emphatic and arrogant tone depicts Richard as boastful, and takes away from the realism of his character, whereby audiences can't relate to him, and supports notions that Shakespeare's work isn't relevant to a modern audience. Furthermore, vox pop is used extensively throughout the film to further convey beliefs that Shakespeare's work offers no value to the modern context, through examples of irony as seen in the lines, intelligence is...
Look, with language, we should speak like Shakespeare. We should introduce Shakespeare into the academic, because then the kids would have feelings.
That's right.
This conveys society's naivety and stubbornness by portraying Shakespeare's language as pure or intellectual, when in fact Richard's mastery of the language allows him to cause so much pain and suffering throughout the play, thus showing how gullible society is to the disingenuous, dishonest, and deceitful individuals who continue to hold considerable influence over society. This caused Pacino to show how prevalent these notions are through method acting. Tasteful sequences of method acting illustrates both the implications of power and just how commonplace it is within society, as illustrated in this scene.
And then you turn around and say, I'm gonna go get a scholar to explain it to you. This is ridiculous.
I hereby... No, but the point is this, Frederick.
No.
Listen to me.
Yeah.
A person has an opinion. It's only an opinion.
Right,
It's never a question of someone being right or wrong.
Right, there's no right or wrong.
It's an opinion. And this a scholar has a right to an opinion as any of us.
Now, I want you to consider, would it be very unexpected if it were Richard delivering these lines? Probably not, but through the explicit exploitation in this real interaction between actors in a setting external from the movie, Pacino illustrates that Richard's Machiavellian qualities are still very prevalent and cause audiences to reconsider their own outlook on Shakespeare's work. Hence, through the collision between the textual forms in King Richard III and Looking for Richard, Al Pacino and Shakespeare discuss how greed and manipulation are so deeply intertwined with the hunger for absolute power, no matter what the context is. Al Pacino further utilized the colliding textual formats between Looking for Richard and King Richard III to explore attitudes towards gender roles, which have been ingrained throughout both societies. Pacino's casting of Winona Ryder makes this evident, as he makes it a point to cast someone as young as you can get, whereby placing the actor's worth in her age devalues women in terms of their individual achievements and abilities. Rather, their value lies in their adolescence, sexual purity, and ability to appeal to the desires of their man, thus creating a clear power imbalance between men and women. Queen Margaret further symbolized these temperaments, whereby Pacino's use of gestural acting illustrates Margaret as being bitter and resentful due to the loss of her husband and in turn her loss of value, through the witchcraft archetype within her high-pitched voice and disheveled look, just juxtaposed by her royal garments in these scenes here. However, one aspect where both texts collide is in Shakespeare's portrayal of women, who hold a level of emotional intellect that male characters seem to lack. This intellect allows Margaret to be one of the select few who see through Richard's lies in the lines, "Thy friends suspect for traitors, while thou livest. No sleep close up to that deadly eye of thine, unless it be while some tormenting dream affrights thee with a hell of ugly devils." Here, Margaret curses Richard by foreshadowing his downfall through the use of hyperbole and warns him of the repercussions of his actions. Whereas in contrast, Pacino portrays women as mindless beings who can't develop unique thoughts and ideas for themselves. Such ideas call both composers to consider why people are so compelled to commit such heinous acts, whereby Pacino's interviews make such motivations apparent, stating, "We have no feeling. That's why it's easy for us to shoot each other. We don't feel for each other. But if we were taught to feel, we wouldn't be so violent." Here, Pacino makes it clear that as a result of a lack of feeling towards Richard throughout his life, this causes him to seek approval by force no matter what it takes, thus inviting audiences to understand the feeling within their own speech and its effect on others. Therefore, through looking for Richard's collision in stylistic choices with King Richard III, Pacino discusses society's attitudes towards gender roles and its effect on society. Therefore, as seen throughout looking for Richard's portrayal of Richard's hunger for power and society's attitudes toward women and gender roles, Pacino has been inspired by Shakespeare's King Richard III and has set up purposeful resonances and dissonances in order to use the colliding textual format to align with many of the same ideas originally discussed by Shakespeare. Such alignment of ideas allows Pacino to convey just how relevant the ideas in King Richard III are to a modern day audience and breaks preconceived notions that Shakespeare struggles to find importance to a modern context. However, despite the colliding textual formats, Pacino only offers slightly distinctive perspectives and rather serves as an echo chamber for Shakespeare's ideas, which arises the question of has Al Pacino's looking for Richard really added any real value and further insight into Shakespeare's work, or is he a victim to his own ambition and fallen short of his goal to make Shakespeare's work more accessible and recognized by modern audiences?